Thanks, guys. Hola, Profesora Moreno, and
Hola.
thank you for joining us today on Temple Street. First off, I want to congratulate you on your publication of your book, Theater of the Borderland, Conflict, Violence, and Healing. So tell us, what is Theater of the Borderland?
It's a book where I talk about the new theater currents that dramatists from northern Mexico are writing about. They're talking about the border, and I'm analyzing about 30 plays by these playwrights of northern Mexico. So I am talking about the new current, the new aesthetic that they're using to write these plays, but at the same time, I've been able to weave in and talk about the history, the social political turmoil that the area is going through as well, and the history.
So how did you first become interested in the issues in the U.S.-Mexico border? Was there a particular event or a trip that you took that made you want to write this book?
Yes, I was in Mexico in the 1990s, and I was in Mexico City, and I met this famous playwright, and we were invited to his house. He was the best player at the time, Emilio Carballido, and then at his house I met another playwright, Hugo Salcedo, who is now currently one of the most famous, most prestigious. He's been awarded all kinds of dramaturgy awards. So I met Hugo Salcedo at his house, and then he told me about these plays he'd been writing, and he started to tell me about the border, and he sent me a copy of his play that had been just awarded Best Spanish Play of the Year, and I just began to read it, and I just was, I don't know, I was fixed in this. I felt like I'd been transported to this area, and I was on the US and Mexico border.
You mentioned Hugo Salcedo, and I know that you partnered with him here on campus to translate one of his dramatic readings. It's called We Women, and We Women touches upon the topics of violence, discrimination, and oppression against women. How do you think that these playwrights portray these tough issues in plays?
What they try to do is they try to show the very crude reality. They're really not going to mince words. They're just going to show you what is happening. What they do is they try to show scenes that sometimes might be shocking, and then other scenes that might show a little bit of redemption. So like they present the problems, but at the same time, somehow in the readings, they're trying to bring in the readers to try to come up with hopefully possible conclusions, possible solutions to the problems.
You said in the book that these playwrights can be seen as forming a new and original voice and a new aesthetic of representation. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes, because they are, as I said, I said new dramatic voice because the messages that they're sending, you can hear them over and over again as you read their plays. So they're very similar voices talking about the border, some of the problems that are taking place at the border, some of the causes of these problems and solutions. So that's, when I'm talking about them in unison, explaining, talking, making us want to react and make changes.
I know that in Mexico and Latin American countries, there has been a up-and-coming epidemic that has actually been going on for a long time, but it's getting a lot of attention right now, of missing and murdered women. Yes. And it's not only happening in Mexico and Latin American countries, it's also happening in other nations. Yes. And they've related these murders and these missing women to femicide. Could you talk a little bit about femicide and what that is?
Femicide is a term that was created or coined in the late 70s, but which talks about extreme violence, almost hatred towards women. And then this hatred is by men towards women, and then you see it then in the way that women are treated, and in the way sometimes women are killed because of the single fact of just being women.
Our perception of Mexico is usually related to immigration and drug trafficking. How do you think people can move on from that, from the comments that are being shown in mainstream media right now?
I think we have to remember that we have to go back in history a little bit and then know that in the 1940s, people were invited to come to the United States because of the Bracero program as guest workers. So that's one of the main reasons why they arrived. And that these people are coming in here because they're human beings and they need to make a better living. And that Mexico and other countries in Central America and other parts of the world are not providing enough. So we have to remember that these are just human beings trying to make a living, and that most of them are good people. The majority are good people. We also have to remember that in Mexico, there's some people that are trying to find solutions. If Mexico provided, I think, a better living for their inhabitants, then they wouldn't have to leave. But we have to remember that this has been happening for a long time. And also that the United States is providing jobs for a lot of these people here. And these are jobs that most people don't want and that need to be filled.
Do you see theater as a platform for healing and hope?
I do. And I think that the playwrights are hoping that this will be this platform where people will start talking, and then we'll try to find solutions, because they know that right now, Mexico as it is, and then remember, for me, these writers are at the forefront because they're seeing things that maybe other people haven't been able to see yet.
Do you think that they act as a form of activism?
They do, and I think that, well, some of them try not to be political, but I think most of them do, and I think this is a way of doing that. Like, if you read a lot of the plays, like the play by Hugo Salcedo that won the Tirso de Molina that we started our conversation, he says at the end, like, all the people have to rise up and complain and try to create changes. So yes, I think they do that by bringing the political message, but also by trying to train new playwrights, new actors. And I think by trying to bring people like me, the critics, to talk about their plays, so that I can maybe get other people interested in what they're doing and in the plight of the people of the Borderlands.
So I think Theater of the Borderlands does a really great job at putting into light issues that are often associated with Mexico, and just talking about the issues that aren't talked about when discussing the U.S.-Mexico border. So thank you so much for joining me and talking about these issues with me.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, you're welcome.
It's been wonderful to be here.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Back to you guys.